GM friends, thanks for joining DeFi-Logic's TA Tuesday every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Mountain Time. As a member of DeFi-Logic server, you can join our call every week, request chart reviews, and discuss the charts in real time. Check out the link in the video description below. In today's community call, we will review charts for RocketX, Injective, OKX, Bitcoin, ETH, and for legacy markets, S&P 500, Dow Jones Industrial, Dollar Index, US 10-year bonds, gold, and oil. And with that, over to you, Eddie.
There you go. What's up, everybody? Everyone's had a good week. Let's check out what we got going on here. So let's look at something new to start off, though, first, just to get the new one that we haven't looked at. So we're looking at RocketX, RVF. Significant price action since July. It's currently pushing higher in the last 10 days. It's now a top 500 project by market cap on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. You know, it's crazy. Like, our whole group hasn't really even heard about this, but it's been performing really well, you know, since the summer, which is definitely something that we need to keep an eye on. So we're approaching some key levels here, however. So let me just mark some stuff out that looks important to me. Let's switch to the weekly first. Take this level here. So we're right below this weekly resistance, but it seems to be pushing pretty hard straight into it. I don't know much about this other than that it's bullish. I'm not really sure why. So let's make some plans for it. On something that has a lot of volume and a larger market cap, I wouldn't really like the way this looks, the daily candle with no bottom wick, because it just says it's inefficient price action. And typically you're going to see it fill that in. However, with these lower caps, it's hard to know if that's going to happen or not. I think that you do need to be wary of a pullback. Obviously, you don't want to be buying green candles into weekly resistance. I could probably mark it out even more and just say that this whole level is the weekly resistance right here, and we're right in the middle of it, right? So I would look for a pullback down to here if we can get it. Create a bottom wick. This, even last week, doesn't really even have one. So it just makes me feel uneasy. But again, that's based off of stuff that has a ton of volume rolling through. I don't even know what this is sitting at as far as market cap, but I'm sure it's not a whole lot. But if we can get a pullback into this, it'd be something worth looking at. It just seems like it wants to pull back to me, or at least that's how I would want to play it. Now, alternatively, though, if it just gets a strong close through, I still prefer to buy dips anyway. So if it closes above this 4543, it could just start to just freaking fly to new highs because there's not a whole lot there. Like, you have all this inefficient price action, so I would imagine that it grinds through it, and I'd rather buy dips, but you never know with this stuff. Someone could just punt a bunch of money into it and make it really send. However, I would much prefer to see a healthy pullback in it. Where did my brush go? Something down here into any of these levels. If we can get one of those guys, then we're off to new highs, really. If it loses this level, it can go down as low as this box if needed. So the tough thing about these coins is, you know, this is just such a huge dip. But if you think about it too, it's actually not really bad to dip that low. Or the fib line. I have everything always saved on my other one, and then when I come here, I'm just like, where is everything? Probably take this as a low. Yeah, even if it came down into here, that's fine. That'd be like a 35% dip all the way at the bottom of that. So yeah, I think buying dips on this isn't a bad idea, though. It's clearly create support in this whole little cluster here, then you have clear skies for some new highs. I wonder if they got like some, because it was dead for a while and then it just started getting action. I wonder what's going on there, but definitely something to keep an eye on. Looks good, looks bullish. I'd look for dips to buy on it for sure. Let's move on to Bitcoin and then Ethereum, and then we'll look at some altcoins. So I've been trying to figure out what the best way is to go about these streams because, you know, I was calling for lower price, but we did get some triggers to get long after that, which stinks because obviously I can't trade for you this, but there's some triggers on some nice altcoins to long that I had longed Sol and AVAX, and it looked pretty good. But just based off the old plan, we're above this old range high, and we dipped into this little breaker area that I was looking at before. So it's looking bullish right now. You really want to see prices hold above these like 281, 283 levels. If it can hold above here, then we might have some fun going higher up to at least this 31.5 level. Let's erase all this because those plans aren't valid anymore. Erase these alerts. This whole pump right here was that ETF fake approval, right? So it makes it hard to read. So I'm going to base it off the close, especially because this wick is going to be different on every exchange that you look at. But to me, this is the level that we want to see us holding. And honestly, I still really like that same spot that I was looking at for shorts now to hold for longs, which it's already held once. So a couple different ideas. Cautiously bullish on it, because I have to be. I forgot I'm online now. So if it sweeps it again and gives a close above it, then that's going to be a trigger for me to just get long with the stop below whatever the new low is. If it closes above yesterday's close, then I'll look for something again. Let's say the candle closes like this, just anywhere above it, then I'll just look to buy dip. It probably won't take out the low if it closes above. It could, but it'd look really ugly if it did. So if we close above yesterday's close, I would look to just buy any dips onto it. You might need to get down lower time frame. You're kind of forming this like 4-hour support here. So any dips down into it would be pretty good, I would think, if we close above yesterday's close, okay? And if not, I'm looking for a sweep of today's low to create some kind of more structure and like a bottom forming type of thing. So it looks something like this. And then we'll just do the thing I always do. So it's a sweep and then the market structure break and then you get long. But I have to be bullish on it while this holds. So that's cool. Ethereum, I think, is just still much weaker. Oh, this looks so sad. I never got that. We talked about that last time. And then it started to give us the breakdown, but then that ETF pump just made it go up. Basically with this, what I'm looking at, I watch it to get back into range. You could even argue that this is the range low right here on these closes. Just like support and resistance is just an area, like you can't be like, oh, price is at 50 and it needs to be at 50. If it's in the area, you just have to go with discretion. To me, this is looking like it's starting to, to form a bottom here. So I think I like these lows right here. So if it came in and it retapped this like 15 region, I'd probably just bid it with a stop below this one right here, because it gives that 3-tap setup that I talked about before. So if price just goes like this, I'll probably be a buyer, and I'm looking for range highs, assuming that Bitcoin holds all the other levels that we're looking at, right? So it's looking not terrible. Bitcoin's looking better. So we'll look at Ether, the F to BTC, just to see if that kind of confirms what we're seeing on the separate charts. And yeah, Ethereum has been much weaker. I think I talked about these lows last time, though, that these are pretty key levels. So you really want this stuff to be holding here. You could start seeing Ethereum outperform possibly if it can hold these levels and start to get bullish, because it's been 3 weeks down and eventually it's got to go up. And I feel like this level right here is just begging to be tagged. So I don't know. I may just long Ethereum as well, just in case it does outperform, because I have to expect it to soon. Especially too, the F to BTC ratio, you always know when it's going to reverse because the Bitcoin maxis start to talk mad crap about it. So that's always such an easy signal that it's going to reverse. Same thing with the Ethereum maxis. Like whenever they start talking about the flippening, it's basically always a free short. It's looking ugly on the daily still, and same with the 12-hour. So it's not looking like it's turning around anytime soon, but I just have to expect it to eventually. I guess it could come down and take some of these lows. I'm not going to mark them just because I've been working with these levels for like over a year, so I'm just going to leave it be. But I eventually think that it tags into this soon. Maybe it comes after these first, and then that's when you'll start seeing all the Bitcoin maxis talking mad crap, and then you'll just long it. So we'll see. I'm going to keep an eye on that, though. Let's look at Injective, INJ. It's actually one of my favorite altcoins. DeFi-Logic Analysts are published in the server this week on Injective, and we'll review the project this Sunday in the server. So it's one of the projects I'm most bullish on for this next cycle. So I'm excited to see what the reports say. It's just such a look at it, Hold on, let me see if there's somewhere else that has more data. I think Binance might. No, it doesn't. Okay. I've switched from using Binance charts to Bybit charts because I've noticed that Bybit's getting more volume lately, and I want to stay where the volume's at. So this has been in a bull market since it's launched, But right now it's looking like it may be forming a just so don't be buying in here until we start clearing some levels. Let's see. It's shifting market structure on the daily too. So we got, if you look even here, even further back, so you have this low, and then you have your high, and then you have your higher low and your higher high, but then it creates a lower low and a market structure break, and then a lower high, but then it started to flip again, right? Kind of a slightly higher low, and then but still a lower high, but then it did higher low and then higher high, but now it's lower again. So it's just, I think it's confused. It doesn't know what it wants to do. Like, I don't want to play in this little region, especially because look what it's been doing. It's been just very clear bull market. And now it's just looks like distribution, like I was saying. What I mean by that is you've always had it pump and a slight retrace, pump and a slight retrace, pump and then a bigger one, pump and then there it goes again. What I'm seeing right here is basically what I'm looking at on a weekly level right now, right? Like this price action looks pretty similar to this price action, right? Just on a higher time frame. So we had distribution, but then it started just going up again with shallow retraces. But now we have these big retraces again. So higher at these levels for sure. Maybe if you get a daily close above here, you can look to get in something like this and aim for some of these highs, but I don't love it. I don't have a clear read on it, honestly. So if this is my high, if this is the low that created that high, if we get a close below here, a daily close below here, then it confirms that it's going to reverse lower. For now, I think just keep an eye on it. This can be your low time frame range. You get a close above here, you can start aiming for these ones. You get a close below here, you can start aiming for these lows. Right now, it's a no trade zone, but I really like this coin a lot for the future. So if we ever get a big market dump, it's definitely something I like, at least. Okay, moving on to OKB. It's the OKX coin. Seems to be outperforming the rest of crypto space by retaining gains from 2021. So let's check it out. If I'm not mistaken, this is His Excellency's exchange, right? I think this is Justin Sun's exchange. But yeah, it's definitely been maintaining this same like little zone here for a while. I think I would look at it like this. So same idea as INJ. I don't think it'd go all the way to the low again, but it can. I would probably look for something like if the daily closes the way it is, I would look for it to retest somewhere into this region, anywhere into that, probably DCA it with a stop below these lows right here and aim for the range high again. Something like that looks pretty good. It makes a lot of sense. If it doesn't, you have to be careful because it is, technically playing mid-range, which is always risky, but it seems like it's going to create a new market structure shift and it would make sense to bid that and aim for highs. But yeah, it's looking good. It's almost looking like it's forming accumulation way up here, which is super bullish. Because if it's accumulating at the highs, then it can go higher. Definitely something interesting. I think that's everything I had. So why don't we just look at one more altcoin just for fun? Solana is one of my favorite ones to trade. So we'll just look at Sol and see if we can find anything on it. Right now, it's into resistant. This is what I was talking about the other day. So this was a short from a couple streams ago. Last stream, I was still thinking we'd get lower prices, but then later on, like on Thursday or Friday, I want to say, it gave like a pretty strong signal to get long on it, which I did. It was this whole price action here. So it came in and it started creating lows, but then this 4-hour close right here, it sweeped it, closed as a S, and then you had a market structure break on it even too. So I was buying into these. I think I actually bought some here and I added into these ones. I don't remember exactly, but that's the one tough part about, once a week streams and then price changes. But let's look at this one more time. Sorry. So for now, you need to be aware of this zone. It's huge resistance, and we keep wicking into it. So be aware of this level, all the supply. You can see that it's been acting as supply with all the wicks. But the reason why I like to trade Sol is because it trades just like Bitcoin, right? So it looks basically the same. And I'm going to look for the same setup where if we can take out today's low that was created and sweep it, I'll look to be a buyer with a stop below this little section right here, something like that, and just aim for yesterday's high for that ETF scam pump. But if we start closing dailies above these wicks, then you can aim for higher too. But with that all being said, if Bitcoin doesn't hold its level that we need it to, then all these bullish plans get invalidated. So just be wary for it to hold this level. If it doesn't, then none of what I talked about is going to stand true. But with that, I'll pass it back over to you guys. and we'll go from there.
Cool beans. Thanks, Eddie. And now we will hand it over to GForce.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to start out like I always do with S&P 500. Again, I always look at the daily charts. Now you'll see here that we have a gap that I have in the purple triangle that we created several months ago back in September 21st. And today it wicked up. It wicked within 8 points within hitting that top of 4401. So it hasn't filled in, and I think it still will fill in. I don't know what the time frame it will, but it's tried. If you look, it's tried basically on last Tuesday, and then tried again Thursday the 12th, and it tried again today. So it keeps trying to fill in that gap. I don't know when it will, possibly this week. It keeps trying to push upward. You can see that it did on Tuesday hit the standard deviation line, which is this black line, and it popped up. Then it's pulled back to the standard deviation line. It's popped up again. And today is sideways action, quite a bit of sideways action. So I think it's waiting for what the Fed President Powell is going to say on Thursday, and I'll get to that in a minute because I want to share some information on that as well. Let's go to the Dow Jones 30 chart, and we'll look at this. This also has a gap. This gap up here, the low end of the gap is 34.3, and the top is 434. It is going to eventually attempt to get up there. Again, the time frame is unpredictable, especially what's going on in the Middle East with Israel and Hamas, but it eventually probably will get up there. It might take a lot more time than what the S&P chart is looking at, because S&P is much closer to it. So it's going to take quite a bit of time to get up there. Now, the dollar index is pulling back a little bit. You look at this chart, the dollar index, and you can see the run up it's had. We had the BRICS announcement way back here in August. It hit a high and then hit the standard deviation line here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 highs. Okay. So now, though, it pulled back to the standard deviation line last week, and it's popped back up. But you can see this high is not as high, obviously, as the last high. It might pop back up to it. We don't know. This could be a start of an M formation, or it could actually work out and drop back down. But right now, it's hard to tell, but it keeps going back to the standard deviation line right here. Moving on to the U.S. 10-year yield, okay? This has popped up significantly today, and that's why the markets are trading sideways. The market's opened lower today, but then it's also, worked its way higher. Now it's working its way back. It's indecisive. It can't make up its mind. So we do have a higher high, though, on the 10-year yield right here today. So what's happening here is we have interest rates are going up. Inflation, I keep saying this, is here to stay. So we are going to probably see higher yields on the 10-year as well as the 30-year and all bonds. Now, getting to the Fed Chairman Powell's comments that he's going to say on basically 12 o'clock on Thursday. It's interesting that the Fed and Powell has not said anything about the war in Israel. They've been very quiet. Unlike the war with Russia and Ukraine, they came out pretty quickly and stated their position. But I said this on Stock Saturday, my last comments that I wrote on Stock Saturday said it'd be very interesting when Chairman Powell speaks on Thursday that what he's going to say, because the questions are now not going to be just about the economy. It's going to be about geopolitical issues and the war and things of that nature. So I do expect the yields on this to go higher. And it's interesting as well that the reporters and commentators are saying, why aren't they talking about this? So Thursday will be pretty, I don't want to say exciting, but a pretty interesting news conference with Powell. And I'll check it out and see what it's going to say and their position. So here's gold. We're going to look at gold for the first time. I'm really not a gold trader. I always like to look at it, but I really don't trade it at all. I never have. But obviously, because of the situation in Israel, it's just gone up. It's just gone past 4 or 5 days. It's just gone straight up. So we're looking at it peaking off here, and it could settle back down. But I think it's going to get back up to 2,000 again. It could be sooner than later. It did get up to 2,000. I'm pulling my chart back. At a double top it had all the way back here in April of this year. It's gone up. So it could run back up to that if the war keeps going on, keeps getting worse. As Israel starts to get a significant amount of casualties, gold can keep going up. The biggest thing on this is geopolitical. We have President Biden going to Israel, supposedly be there tomorrow, recording announcements, and it'll be really interesting to see what comes up with that. All the papers are talking about how the world has changed significantly. So gold has plenty of runway to get up to 2,000 on that. Also, because of the geopolitical issues, is oil. So here's a daily on oil, and you can look at it. You can see it got all the way down to the 3x lower Bollinger Band, right down here. And then the Saudis start cutting oil, and so it popped back up. Then it retraced back down to the 2x. So it wasn't a lower low, okay? It was a higher low. And then it's popped up to the standard deviation line, and then it's trading sideways. Oil has not exploded like gold has. So I think people are still keeping some sort of outward calm on what's going on in the Middle East. They don't think it's going to spread to other countries at this point, and that's why oil hasn't really bounced and gone to the high it had all the way here to almost. It could, though. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how things are going to transpire with Biden, what he's going to talk to with Prime Minister Netanyahu. But it's interesting that they actually announced ahead of time that Biden's going to go there. So it gives plenty of people a heads up on that conference and that meeting. So I'll sign off with that. We covered pretty much everything on that. But again, gold has gone up because of two factors, inflation and the war. So look forward to try and work its way up to 2,000. Okay, Pepe, back to you.
Thanks, GForce. And that is it for this week. Remember, as a member of DeFi-Logic, you can post requests in the Daily Dose forum, and we'll review your coins, assets, and tradable proxies in the next call. Also, DeFi-Logic members interested in alpha testing our ETH spot trading indicator and new XRP strategy developed by RocketX. The service is free until we launch. Also, our Bitcoin strategy is almost ready for alpha testing, so be on the lookout for that in the server. The results so far for back testing are looking pretty nice. So we're working on a scalp indicator for Bitcoin and also a longer time frame strategy. Additionally, DeFi-Logic is a freemium service for members that join prior to launch. As an early member, you'll get free lifetime access to our server and steep discounts on other products and services developed in the future. Thanks for joining, and we will see you this time next week on Tuesday. GM friends.
Join us next week in Discord for TA Tuesday at DeFiLogic.com.